Welcome to another exciting episode of Humanity 8.0, a podcast where we talk about our post-truth present and our transhuman future, with the aim of sketching out the outlines of what awaits us in the years and the decades ahead of us. This podcast is brought to you by Rokos. Companies with limited IT budgets and personnel can now get the same cybersecurity protection as big enterprises. Rokos' Secure Access Service Edge, SASE solution, with zero trust, provides enterprise-grade comprehensive cybersecurity so that you can focus on your business. For more, please visit www.rokos.com. That's ROQOS.com. And now, here's your host, Dr. Ahmed Bouzid, founder and CEO of Witlingo.
The irony. Well, let's talk about Chomsky just a little bit, because I think even though he's the most cited and all that, I believe he has been able to explain nothing as far as how the mind works. He just says that we have a thing in our head. It's called, what is it called? An LAD.
The language device, yes.
Device, right? And that LID, yeah. So he says there's that. And that is something that every human being is born with, right? So it's a capacity that exists, and I'm simplifying.
So actually, it's a little program. It has to be, and it's specifically for syntax. So it's not. Behaviorists would say we have some tendencies, but no. It's a specific knowledge that is innate, and it has to do something with syntax of universal language.
Yeah, exactly. And but that explains nothing, because it's just still a black box as far as it's a device. It's called a device, and because it discovers structure in our language, he's positing that is. Anyway, my point is, the irony is that now engineering, at least in software, has evolved to the point where we have given up, in software, on rule-based systems. So rule-based systems, right? If X, therefore Y. And else, if blah, blah, right? So that's, so AI, artificial intelligence, for the longest time, was trying to make progress by creating lots and lots of rules and meta rules and so on and so forth, but it didn't go very far. It really didn't. I mean, that's basically my career, is building artificial intelligence rule-based systems, and there are programming languages that do that. But now we have the irony. So the last, I would say, 10 years or so, we've gotten to a point where the collection of data has become very cheap and easy, right? Because of many things. Hardware became cheaper. Everybody has a smartphone. We can embed devices everywhere. We can collect lots and lots of data such as, how the speech of human beings or images, and so you can create these artificial intelligences that are perform, under the right conditions, right? And yet, the people who have built them cannot explain how they work. They are not explainable.
That's very interesting. Yes. So they made it. So you're talking about the networks, like connectionist networks.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
That are now far more advanced, like that back. And so the system is not like an analog computer back in the.
It can detect, for example, very early precancerous cells, right? Purely by having looked at trillions or billions or whatever of data, right? And it comes up, and it's like 99% of the time it's right on, right? But nobody can explain how it did.
So they kind of put that together, and they expose the network to some data. They want to teach the network, say, to recognize the vowel sound. Like, I'm just making up.
Like words, right? So an example would be, okay, here's a piece of audio, right? And here's the actual translation, right? Transcription, go and learn. And then at some point, with enough data, it's able to transcribe correctly. Go ahead.
Okay, so and the people who made the network cannot actually know or cannot explain how exactly the network comes up with. Okay, so that's very neat. Like I like that. So it means that network is getting creative in a ways that is not predicted by any kind of program, right? Before that, you had to write the program and then you have the output, like the calculator. It has the program and then it gives the output that is meaningful to you. And so, but here you get the network coming up with the solutions that you did not have to program,
But you not only, but you can't even reverse engineer. You can't even, I mean, it's totally unexplainable. I guess my point was we tried for the hardest time, for the longest time, to come up with solutions, engineering solutions that are rule-based. Rule-based means I can explain exactly how it got.
Step by step, and then reverse it back.
And reverse it back. But now we have gotten to a point where we cannot do that. And so my question or my point is, it seems to me that we are going back, you know, the most scientific and the most sophisticated engineers and all that are going back to a world where you can create, now we can create things that you can't even explain. So unexplainability is now something that we have to actually embrace, as opposed to seeing it as a point of imperfection.
I like the idea, and that's another. So it's very the way you phrase it. It's very nice, this is the thing I've been thinking a lot, during my career about. Like we usually like to think how we need to know exactly what something is, what kind of laws it's govern it in order to make it or produce it. But that's not how it has been done in technology. The best example is medicine. People did come up with remedies long before they knew how our physiology functions.
That's a great example.
How the medicine works. But they were observing correlations and they didn't have the explanation. They just knew that it works. Now this is step ahead from here, because you make something, but then you don't really know and you cannot reverse it. It has the spontaneity of a life form.
Yeah, to a certain extent it does, because it's a black box almost.
Yeah, so you cannot really reverse it, but you can set it off and make it learn. Like you just throw it there and expose it to the data, and then the thing learns. And but we can. So my point was that it's not so foreign to us. It's foreign to philosophers, but who like to think that there is this neat order of doing things. So you figure out how it's done, and then you make it. But usually. It doesn't go that neatly. You make something and then you learn how it works, and it's just more open kind of interaction between discovery and explanation than we like to think.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. Maybe we can do sort of like a real-time experiment in thinking, or a thought experiment. So. It used to be, I don't know, maybe in the late 90s when we started getting cell phones, right? I got mine, I think, in 2001. So I was a latecomer to the party.
Yeah, same, 2004, I think we got our first. Because the joke back in the days was, philosophers, there is no philosophical emergency. You don't need a phone. So that was
that's okay. That's okay. I mean, we were emerging from but that's okay. So we had cell phones, right? And at the time, when you have a cell phone, your contacts and your numbers are in the cell phone itself. Okay. And so if you lose your cell phone, you have lost all those contacts.
Yes.
Right. We have now evolved, let's say, to the point where your information is in the cloud, is somewhere, right? And your hardware, your iPhone, right, is in your pocket. So if you lose your iPhone, It's okay. You can just go to the store and buy a new one and then link it to your account. And then it's as if you didn't lose your phone, except, you have to pay money, right? You lost $1,000, but you get your phone back, as it were. Okay. Now, the reason why I'm the experiment I want to do is this. It seems to me that this introduction of the cloud and the separation between the hardware and the software, right? Or that is now everybody understands it, because everything that we have now come to think is obvious at some point was almost incomprehensible. I'll give you an example of that. In the mid-90s, right? Or before the mid-90s, to get my email, I needed to go to my lab and to go in and then log in from certain computers to get my email, right? And so accessing that email was tied to going somewhere, right? And so the notion of being able to access my email anywhere was foreign to me. It took me a while to get it. Like I remember Hotmail was the first one in the US where, I remember sitting in a conversation with somebody who was using Hotmail, and I'm asking him to explain to me, and I was not able to understand. He said, "You can be anywhere. You can access your email." What do you mean? I have to be in my lab to access my? No, you can be anywhere. So the notion of a cloud, right, that is independent of the hardware was new, and it took time and effort to understand it. Anyway, the point is, and everybody was in the same boat. And then after a few years now, we now all understand that there is this cloud and that there is hardware, and the two are separate. Okay, so now it has become a mainstream concept. So why am I talking about this? Is because I think the notion of the separation between the body and the soul, right, is sort of embodied in that metaphor, right? The soul is now the software, your contacts, the games that you added to your phone and all that, and that tied to your account. And then the hardware is disposable. If it breaks or if you lose it and whatever, you can get another. So do you think that now that this notion now is sort of has been ingested and internalized by everybody almost, right? That the dichotomy between body and soul is something that people are more receptive to now than they were, say, modern, where, you have everything is explainable through the physics and everything is contained. Whereas now we have these two things that we are comfortable with, the body and the soul. The body is the hardware and the soul is the software. What do you think about this?
But the appeal to have our minds separate from our bodies has been with us always, right? So you say, well, now we have the means to think about this division in technological terms. It's not just like before.
Yeah, it's concrete, right? You can actually, it's not an abstract notion, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, we can think about that, and yes, it's a nice thought experiment, and there is even a great TV show on Netflix. I forgot that it's Carbon, because Carbon something. Let me just I'll check it out and I'll let you know. It was a great show, 2 seasons, and the idea is what you're saying. The idea is the following: that we have a little stack. It's old-fashioned still, but a little stack here where our soul is kind of downloaded all the time, and then when our body dies. They just take this CD-ROM. The book was written in the early 2000s, so no cloud as yet. So they have CDs, right? And the CD is there, and they just take the CD and put it in the other body. And you continue living forever. So that's immortality. And the show is excellent in capturing all the problems. So the poor people now have to have the mortgage for another body. So if you have if you want a perfect body, or if you're it's amazing. And all the problems with like disposable bodies. So now rich people have they are all perfect and live up there with their perfect bodies, and they buy these bodies all the time. They change them or they stick to the old form. Anyway, it's that idea, even though it's seedy, but it's the same idea. Now, I love the show. I love the thought experiments. My worry is that we are not these kind of creatures, like that we are not like the information or the phone book that we have on our phone. That we are not that we ourselves are not the kind of creatures that can be downloaded, or our minds or personalities that can be downloaded and separated from the bodies that we have. Now, there are these people like Alva Noah, and I mentioned Evan Thompson, and they are all arguing for something, or Andy Clark, like they're arguing for something like embodied cognition, extended cognition, inactive cognition. So they are saying, look, the way we see the world, the way we move in the world, the kinds of bodies we have shape the way we are, and it's inseparable. You cannot have some independent information or memories. You can have memories and you can write them down, but we can do that, like, and people have been doing that for centuries, since we have literacy. So you can write the memories down, but you cannot really displace yourself the way envisioned in this TV show or in the thought experiment that you described. So that kind of there is this no such a unit to be downloaded and to the cloud. So my worry is that, well,
it's my worry too. The reason why I'm bringing it up is now that notion. I think before that, people talked about the soul and talked about it, but it was, in a way that was metaphorical. But now it has gone mainstream in a very concrete way, and that worries me, because I agree 100% with you. I don't think we can be reduced. If nothing else, I can say that I am going to refuse your theory, period. I'm not, and I assert myself and my humanity, and I can just say no to it, right? And I can act, and I can be spiteful against that theory, right? And sort of meaning there is some agency in us, right, that cannot be reduced in any way, shape, or form, that is tied to our who we are and how and what the fact that I have a missing tooth here, is important, makes me who I am actually, or part of me, right? So anyway, I agree 100% with you. I guess my worry is this idea, which I think is a bad idea, of separating the mind and body, has gone mainstream in a crazy way, so that now we have people like these folks who are talking about digital uploads, and they're taken seriously. Go ahead. Just wanted to make that point.
Well, that's the thing. I don't think that's the way to. I just wanted to say something interesting about Christianity at this point, that we are talking about the importance of body. Like, Christianity kind of understands how important it is for our personalities to have the body recreated at the end of the days. So we are going to be the reincarnation is a survival of the body and soul together. It's not just the soul uploaded somewhere and floating somewhere. It's just the event presupposes the body as well. So that's interesting, how as if people really understood it, it's not just soul going somewhere. It's just you have to leave your body, because that's important for who you are. To have yourself or personality kept, you need both, not just the mind floating around. So that's it. It's a digression, but it's kind of the same insight.
No, you're right. I mean, Islam, I think, inherited that notion. When you're resurrected, you're resurrected. And then there's debate about what body are you? Are you at the healthy level?
it's a funny debate. I just don't want to be recreated as an old me. I want a young me. Like, it's just please.
No, I mean, it's like they say that like that degrees of heaven, and and maybe you go to heaven, but maybe you go on toward as an older person versus younger one. There's a lot of discretion there, apparently. but it's but I'm just hoping, like, how do we get back to this? We are a phenomenon. Each one of us is a very unique phenomenon that is intertwined: the body and the intellect and the temper, the personality. All those are both biological, historical. What happened to you, the traumas that you went through, is what makes us us. And yet this notion of the digital download, which I find very annoying, right, is taking over, right? Because folks, I think, are far more receptive now because they just get it, they understand it. Oh, it's like, I'm like, okay, I can get another body, and that's okay. My mind is the software. So let me ask you one more question. Wow, it's almost the hour is done.
It passes by so quickly. Like, yeah.
Okay, so I want to ask you one last question, which is the following: literature, right? Why do we? I mean, one of my joys is reading, great writing, or even not great writing, just reading, being able to read, sit down and read text, right? What do you what is it? What is reading, literature? What is that fulfilling in us, you think? I know it's a big question. Sorry. But why is there that sort of in many people? I mean, even when we are young, we want to listen to stories. It's very innate in us. But literature and being able to read, what are we gaining from being able to read, let's say, fiction?
It's really, it's a great question, and I will tell you, like, I will respond to that question from where I grew up. So from the story and the situation in the country where I grew up. I'm coming from a small language, so it's Serbian. Everything has to be translated. All the classics of the world literature have to be translated. Okay, so we had, and it's an advantage of a small country because you get to, so it's kind of on the same level. It's not that you are British or German or Russian and then you focus on yours. It's a small country and you then distribute your attention to everybody. So you read South Americans, you read Japanese, you read pretty much everyone that comes in your lap. Like, it's, and now to your question. I remember that stories of people from far away, and we didn't travel a lot when I was a kid. I was coming from socialist country, like we didn't move a lot. But the stories translated from Russian and Japanese and Spanish and English and coming to me meant that other people in the world felt the same way as I did, or were going through same kind of trials and sorrows and joys as I did. So, and there was this need to kind of connect with other faraway people who live entirely different lives, but are somehow like me. Now, this sounds self-centered, but on the other hand, like I was searching for that common humanity between myself and characters in, for example, Marquez novels, like the times of Love in the Times of Cholera, for example, or Dostoevsky or Thomas Mann or Huxley. So I was searching for that common humanity, and the stories brought that to me. Not psychology, maybe later a little bit of philosophy, but far more literature than philosophy. Even though in philosophy I look for this common humanity as well. So I'm unity among different people, but again, common humanity. So yeah. So that's why the stories are so, and that's why reading them was so important, because when you have oral culture, then you have stories of your own people passing down. But written culture allows you to meet people from far away. So that would be my answer. I don't know whether it's
definitely. Same here. I also grew up in a socialist country, by the way, and I
okay.
Algeria, North Africa. We were part of the the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union were the good guys.
Were you also the independents? Like in the not part of either of them?
It's called the non-aligned movement. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
The non-aligned movement, exactly.
Non-aligned movement. That's right.
Right. Yeah. And actually, Algeria was one of the leaders, right, of the non-aligned. So a lot of countries were, which is interesting, because now it feels like the BRICS is trying to be the non-aligned.
To revive that.
Exactly, right. But I do remember thinking the same. I remember reading, actually, Dostoevsky, The Idiot. I remember not reading it, but watching in the early 80s, I think it was, watching that opening scene in the train, right? And finding it, and I was young, finding it really like engrossing. And it was in Arabic, and it was in and Lebanon, Beirut at the time. Lebanon was prospering. Lebanon is the cultural center of the Arab world. So they produced all those shows. I remember being completely just amazed and fascinated by that scene, and then the series itself, followed the series. And then after that, I read Dostoevsky in Arabic, and then in French, and then in English. I like him best in English. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I'm comfortable more with the languages. Because I think it's the language I've used in my adult education. But Dostoevsky completely foreign in a way, and yet we were able to because also same it's Arabic is not a small language, right? But classical Arabic is classical Arabic. Every country, Arab country, has their own really dialect of it. And so the literature there is scarce, right? The one that is, right. So we look at the world, right? And I agree. I think it's a window to opening up and being able to connect to other cultures at the emotional level, right? Not at the sort of
at the emotional, exactly.
Right, like they have that emotion that I thought that only I or only my clan or my family had or my country had. Yeah. So the hour has gone by very fast as usual, and thank you. I want to thank you very much for making the time. I know you're a very busy person. And so when we publish this episode, I would love to include as many links as possible. So I have lots of links from your Shirk, but I'm sure there are other ones. Maybe we can include them.
Yeah, sure.
Wonderful.
These essays, and then all of them, whatever you like.
You should collect those essays, and as I said,
in a book. Yes, you said that, and I think it's a good idea. And a year more, and there will be enough essays for a fine book.
Yeah, and I think Professor Steve Fuller is connected with everybody in the world. So
I know.
We should be able to help us get that book published.
Exactly.
All right. Thank you so much, Professor Radenović.
Thank you, Ahmed. Thank you so much for inviting me to your podcast, and it was a pleasure, really. And I thought about some things that just you brought up like right now. So so that's very good. I enjoyed it.
Thank you so much. Take care.
See you soon. Bye-bye.
Take care.
You've been listening to Humanity 8.0 with your host, Dr. Ahmed Bouzid, founder and CEO of Witlingo. Brought to you by Rokos. Thanks for listening.